Hi, everybody. Welcome to my first ever live, by the way, and I believe it's Michelle's first ever live too. So I'm looking forward to speaking to you. Michelle, can you just introduce yourself for people who don't know you, please?
Of course, yes. So I'm Michelle Farrell. I'm an online business manager and automation specialist, and I empower female business owners to create more time to scale their businesses through streamlining, systemizing, and automation.
That's fab. And it kind of works. We do the same thing, don't we? So like I help business owners to get more time or more profit out of their businesses. So quite a lot of what we offer does overlap. And I always love talking to you because like we sing off the same page, don't we?
We do.
Like,
we do.
It's chaos to clarity is what we both think about. So yeah, so thank you to everyone, by the way, if you're listening to or watching us live. And I do hope that you do get something out of this. So we're talking about staying sticky. And I think it came from a lot of people concentrate on getting new clients all the time. And then once they come on board, then it's like, oh, job done. Like they're not, they think that that's fine then, they've got the clients. But that first period, the first 6 weeks or 90 days, some people say, that your client is with you is the most important. And I think it's because when people, they entrust in you, so they've given you some money to put their trust in you that you can actually deliver. And I think when people don't give that extra value when they've just come on board, it's quite scary for businesses because they feel like they're like, oh, what is going to happen here? What are my expectations going to be met? And like you're kind of setting the scene for the rest of your relationship with that client. So I think making sure that they feel like a VIP in that first 6 weeks to 90 days is the most important time. And I think that's where automation comes in, isn't it? Because we are busy. We are still trying to get other people to come on board and to have, to get new clients, and we're trying to service the clients that we do have. So I just thought it might be an idea to, how do you help your clients to make sure that their new clients feel like really special?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think what you said is so right, isn't it? We try so hard to get that new business in the first place, but if we don't make that that good impression straight off the bat, are we going to then end up having a long-term relationship with them? So for me, automating, having a system like a CRM system where you can manage not just your new leads, but your clients as well, with automated workflows when you're onboarding them, it just makes them feel that they're part of your business already. They can trust you. Bearing in mind, it's probably taken them a lot to reach out to you in the first place and even ask for that help, to then give you money and then think, like you say, what happens next? So having an automated, so I use a system called Dubsado as my CRM system, and I set up workflows in the background. So I build Dubsado for my clients as well. And we basically look at, right, how do you want the customer journey to be? How do you want clients to feel when they come on board? And what do we give them to make them feel that way? And then in the background, we can set up an automated workflow that's going to deliver everything that you want to give them to make them feel special, but without you having to physically be doing that whilst you're trying to promote yourself to get new clients. And it doesn't have to be. I think some clients sometimes worry that, some of my clients worry that it might not feel very personalized if it's an automated series of emails or whatever it is, but you're creating those emails to start with. You're creating that process, so you can personalize it and you can put things in there. So you have a client on, when you get a client on board, you can think, well, what else can I help them with? And you can still tailor the emails that are going out to them to what they actually need. And it just gives them a bit more value from the start, that, like you say, builds that trust and helps them feel reassured that they've made the right decision in hiring you in the first place.
I think you made a really good point there about the personalization, because I think we do as business owners, you know, if we see things coming in, we do know that most of the time they are automated, but actually it's the tone of voice and it's that, that extra value that they know then that you've gone, actually they've thought about this and they do actually care, and you're not just, and like one of our onboarding processes for the accountancy is we actually tell people what to expect in the next month, because I think it's such a big thing that they're not sure of like, am I going to get my, you know, sometimes their expectations are, well, I've given you everything now, like where's my reports, where's my bookkeeping? And because there is so much to do, being able to deliver the expectation and tell them what to expect and then do that, I think that helps in the building of a relationship, doesn't it? Because it's not always, you know, sometimes if it's just a course as well, if you're delivering some kind of a course, then having those little things and they are automations and people know that, but it still makes them feel special to say, oh, I noticed that you've done X part of the course. You know, how did you find that? Did you struggle? And because, like you said, because you've written them, they're still personal. The thought exactly has gone through that, hasn't it? So, do you find that people think that CRM systems are literally just the pipeline to get clients?
Yes, definitely. When I talk to clients about how a CRM system can help them, I think that is the thought, that a lot of it is, it's managing the new leads and being able to convert them. But for me, especially in my business, it's very much keeping that relationship with the clients once we've got that established relationship, keeping in touch with them, keeping that rapport going, because you know, the more comfortable they are with you and the more trust they have in you and the systems you're using, the more they'll let you into the business, the better working relationship you can have. So for me, that management of your actual client relationships is so important. And it's easier to convert existing business, isn't it, than it is new business. So, you know, if you're really looking after, you've worked so hard to get that client in the first place, look after them and build that relationship, build that rapport with them, make sure they trust you. And then I'm sure there's other things that you'd be able to offer them, which is a lot easier to do than, like I say, finding that new business.
It is. There's lots of like statistics about how easy it is to sell to a current client, isn't it? Rather than just to try and find a new client. It's much, much more expensive in time and in money, usually.
Yes,
so,
definitely.
We talk about like how many times touch points we need as well, don't we? So when it's an existing client, you've already had those touch points. They already know, like, and trust you. And if you've done a good job in something that they came to you to do, then actually to offer them something else, you are a much easier decision to make, aren't you, than like I just said before, when somebody comes on board, they give you their money, they're giving you their trust, and they already trust you. So it's really good. I mean, once they're established and we've done the onboarding process and we've talked about like how important it is for the first like 6 weeks, but what else could people do in the after that so that the clients stay with them for much longer?
Well, just going off kind of what I do, because I'm lucky enough that the clients I work with, I've worked with most of them since I started the business back in 2019. So I feel like for me, the key is that communication and being proactive rather than reactive, not letting your clients chase you to see. I do a lot of project work and I don't want clients to have to ask me where I'm up to with a project. So again, when I do a lot of work with systems, and Trello is a big system, a platform that I use. It's just a super system. Do you use Asana? So I've used Asana with clients before, but there's a lot going on in Asana and I love how much it can do. But with Trello, it's just so simple and really clear and visual, and that works really well with me. And it just means that I can have my clients can jump on their Trello board and in a second see where I'm up to with the project. And And that communication and openness and transparency is really what helps that relationship. And has meant that I've been able to work with most of my clients for a number of years. And it kind of gets to a point where I think at the beginning of that relationship, there are a lot of questions, aren't there? And there's a lot of, because, you know, like we say, you've given your money and you just want, your business is your baby. In a lot of cases, I work with people who don't have staff. It's just them and they are their business. And handing it over to someone else is a scary thing. But as that relationship progresses, I find that my clients just back off and they'll say, could you do this? And I'll do it. And there's no questions asked. And I'll say, well, what do you like? What do you want specifically? And they'll say to me, you do what you think, and I'm sure that'll be fine. And I think it's that trust, isn't it? And it's that we've been in constant communication, built that relationship, and ongoing, it just makes it so much easier to work together.
Yeah, definitely. I think that's really good. The transparency of knowing where you're at and having them not have to ask, like, where are you with something is really, really important. And then as the relationship grows, you get to know them a little bit better, don't you? And you can kind of make things, the personalization comes in then. So like as an accountant, for instance, we can get clients' date of birth. So when it's somebody's big birthday, we send them a cake, because just to make them feel special and just to know that we've considered them. Like, there is an automation behind that. I don't remember everyone's birthday. I get a nice email from the system. We use Go High Level for ours, by the way. And knowing that it can actually help you to remember stuff is brilliant. You just get an email that says it's such and such's birthday next month. You know, do you want to send them something? And that's it's been brilliant because I've got so much behind that. I mean, we also do it ad hoc as well, by the way. So in 2017, a client of ours fell off his bike. He had a really bad cycling accident and he ended up in hospital. And I was living in Spain by this point, but I'd seen it on Facebook. So I sent him a cake card to say, get well soon. And he's no longer a client anymore. And it's 17. So it's like 7 years ago. And even this year, he reposted it on Facebook to say to me, this is like, I will never forget this, how kind you were when I was in hospital. And it's like, wow, it was I mean, it's just the thought process. It was just, I wanted to show him that, you know, as a client, we care. Like, you know, you've had a bad cycle accident. And it's like, I really do hope you get well soon. And the what he's got from that, and I mean, he no longer needs a self-assessment, by the way. So that's the only reason why he's not a client. I'm sure that if he went back self-employed, we'd be the first person that he comes to. He wouldn't even consider going elsewhere, because the relationship that one thought gave. So it doesn't have to all be automated. Some of it can be because you thought outside the box and you just like, you know, so I mean, can you think of anything else that the people can do to make like the thought process of if you find that your client would benefit from something?
Yeah, well, I mean, that example that you gave there, he might not need you, but if someone he's speaking to needs an accountant, and you know, you're going to be the first people, and that's what it's all about, isn't it? Being the first person they think of when they need you or someone else needs you. And even if that client, like your client, is no longer a client, they might come back for something, they might need you in the future and come back to you then because you've sent that to them. So other things that we can do that I do for my clients when we're automating. And like you say, there is often an automation behind it, isn't it? Because we can't remember everything. We need a bit of space in our brains for other things.
Definitely at a certain age now where my memory isn't as good as it used to be as well.
Yeah, it definitely gets harder, doesn't it? So we do need that help. But even things like just having, giving your clients maybe early access to things before you launch them to the general public. That makes them feel like you've thought of them first before it goes elsewhere. Things that, you know, like you say, as you get to know the client, you get to know their business. I can offer my client a whole range of things, but I'm not about the hard sell, so I wouldn't go in straight off the bat saying you need this, this, and this. But as that relationship grows, they see other things, or I can point out other things that I can help them with, things that they might not have realized that they need help with, and I can just offer, you know, I can guide them to a free resource or a guide or something that I can help them with, providing additional content and additional help without them actually paying for a service. And again, it's all about just thinking, what can I do to make sure I am the first person they think of, and just kind of constantly dripping into them, making them engage with your business and the things you're doing, showing them a bit of behind the scenes so they get to know you as a person as well as the business. Definitely. Then they can identify certain aspects of your life with theirs, and that builds the relationship even more. But in terms of that automation, I think there's definitely things you can kind of drip out to your clients, whether they're still existing clients or not, just to keep them in the forefront of your mind. And everything, what I would always say to my clients is, when that person stops working with you, when they stop becoming a client, we have an offboarding process where we ask the client for their feedback and actually act on that feedback again, so they know that you're taking their thoughts into consideration and actually acting on them.
I think that's really important. Whenever someone leaves the accountancy, I think it helps that I work remotely, by the way. So like, one of the things that I get feedback from two things actually. So I send an email out after they've been with us for 6 weeks, and it introduces me to that person. Now, if I know that person, I word it slightly different, but quite often that person has come on board with TI Accountancy and they've not had any interaction with me before this point at all. And I say, you know, I've just introduced myself as the founder of TI Accountancy. Because I don't work in the office at all, then I'm just emailing to ask, is everything okay? How are you getting on? I believe X, of whichever staff member is looking after them, you know, if the team looking after you, and can you give me any feedback? And that gets me so much feedback from, it's all, you know, I know that the team are brilliant, by the way, but it's really nice to hear it from somebody else as well. So it's kind of like knowing that, and that will make them feel special. The fact that it's automated, that I get an automation after 6 weeks when they become, like, we get a tick box to say they've become a client. I can't remember everything, but a quick automation. But then the email I send is personal, so that's how mixing automation and personal together really works. We also have another one after a year. So like, after they've been clients for a year, I send them I'm sending you a virtual anniversary. Let's open the chocolate and champagne type thing, you know, and saying thank you for being loyal. Like, again, can't remember everything, but again, it's like mixing that automation and personal again. And we do have an offboarding process. I wish more people would fill it out. I really do. Like, we have a questionnaire when somebody leaves, and asking them what we could do better. And I'm really, really grateful for the people who actually take the time to fill it out, because that's where the gold is. That's where somebody who has got no agenda, because they've gone, they're not a client, they don't need your services anymore, will tell you, because they're not risking anything except their honesty. And it's like, working through those has been, that's where my best advice has sometimes come from. That when somebody said, well, if you did this, that would be better. And I'm like, that's a genius idea. Why didn't we think of that? And it really, really works, doesn't it? The feedback thing.
And then telling them when you've acted on their feedback, or saying like, that's brilliant, I hadn't thought of that, that's definitely something we'll work on. I mean, imagine feeling, you know, like you're part of someone's business, and just because they've asked you for it would make you feel special, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it would, definitely. So we talked before about being front of mind when somebody needs you again. But so that kind of leads me to the prospect side of things. Like how can you be front of mind with a prospect when they're just on social media and trying to like get them onto your email list so that you can offer that value and you can offer those extras, because it is much easier, isn't it, with an email list than it is when, I mean, I don't know about you, but sometimes I feel like I'm just throwing myself out there to leap into an empty cavern that just does not answer sometimes. But I think we all have those struggles. But yeah, so what can people do to try and get them onto the list to actually make those automations and to make them feel special?
Yeah, so this is something I've actually been working a lot on recently. So many of my clients have been coming to me asking for help with this, because there is so much noise on social media and it's so difficult to make an impact, and deciding where to be, where to put your energy, which platform should I be on, where's my audience, that kind of thing. So I've seen some really good results recently with email lists, whether it's starting from absolute zero, which some of my clients have got no email list at all, or it's just, you've got an email list that you've had for years and they might not be the right kind of client, and you might send the odd email out here and there, but there's no consistency. So this is where having a lead magnet comes in. So having something that gives your audience value, enough value that they're willing to exchange their email address for. That's the key, is getting their data.
Harder and harder as the years have gone by, hasn't it? Definitely.
Yeah, it has, because everyone's giving something away for free, and it has to really capture them. It's got to be exactly what they want at that moment in time. And that's not to say just have one lead magnet. You could have a number. If you're offering different services or different products, you could have one for everything you're offering, so you are going to attract the right clients. But it's not just having that resource in the first place to give out. It's then what you do once you've got that email address. You can't just get it and not do anything with it, because you're not nurturing that relationship. So having a really, really good, valuable sequence of an automated sequence of emails behind, or messages behind, that lead magnet once they've signed up for it is so important to then convert them into a client. And it's a case of, in that sequence, building that trust, letting them get to know you, offering them more value, even more value than they asked for in the first place, making them feel special, talking to them, showing that you understand the problem and that you've got a solution and this is the solution, and then that's how you convert them. But it's definitely something that works much better if you can grow your email list. You've got that data, that's your data, you're going straight to their inbox, you're not having to fight as much as you are on social media against everyone else. You already know that they're interested in what you've got to offer, or they wouldn't have signed up for it in the first place. And that's where you need to start growing that, nurturing that relationship.
Before I answer that, I'm just wondering if anyone's got any questions at all. By the way, Michelle and I would be very, very happy to answer them. So if you've got any questions, then we'll answer them in about 5 or 10 minutes. Regarding lead magnets, we talked just before we came on live, we talked about making everything as simple as we can, because as business owners, we make things so complicated for ourselves sometimes. Like, how simple can a lead magnet be? What's the kind of starting point for somebody who doesn't have one at all? I mean, maybe start by explaining what a lead magnet actually usually is.
So, like you said before, it's getting harder and harder to know what to do, because people have been producing lead magnets for so long and there's so much choice now. So, it could be something as simple as a checklist, an A4 checklist that people can download, and it guide them through, I don't know, settings. So, for example, for me, it could be something like setting up a system, or, how to use Trello, how to set up your Trello board. Simple tick list that someone thinks right away, that's what I need, I can follow that and get it done. are really, really good if you've got more time. Video series work great, and for a lot of my clients, they already have the content. So I would say before you go about creating something new, have a look at what you've got already. You know, if you've got checklists that you give to your clients already to use, can you use one of those as a lead magnet? Or if you've got a YouTube channel with videos on there already, can you pick out a theme and put 3 or 4 together and create a series out of them that are going to help people? Ebooks are another one, but that, you know, takes a bit more effort. But if you've probably already got the content, it's just putting it together in the first place. We do all sorts of webinars. That's another one. If you're already going to do a talk, or you've already done a talk on something, why not turn that into a lead magnet? Because it's interactive. Interactive things are the best, because you can download something. You can download a guide and nothing, you know, it just sits there, doesn't it? And you never look at it again. But the more interactive, the more people can have an end goal, the better, really. It has to be valuable for them, and it has to teach them something that they didn't know before and that they need to know.
I loved the one that you did about like your to-do list, and it was just 3 videos that over 3 days, and it just broke it down so well into like the thought process. And I'm pretty good at my to-do list anyway, but it was just like the way you'd done it, I thought it was really clever in how to, like, it wasn't taking up too much of somebody's time, because I think that doesn't help as well. When we want easy solutions, or we want quick solutions as well, don't we? So it's really hard that way. But it's having that balance between giving the value but not taking up too much time. And I think that interactiveness as well, like you said, is so much better. People do challenges as well, don't they? I've been looking at challenges and thinking, how could we do a challenge so that it's just a short period of time, like a 3 to 5 days, you know, but they get a result. And that's what it's about, isn't it? Getting a result at the end of it, to make sure that they've got value for giving you that email, and then behind that, that's when your whole process. So I hate the word newsletter, by the way. I don't know why I hate it so much.
Me too.
I have this thing with some people that, like, I like an email to come with one subject line so that I know whether it's useful for me or not, and whether to delete it or to put it into my to read. Whereas if somebody sends me something that's like a summary of all week, I haven't got time to read through it. And it sounds really pretentious of me, but I do value my time that much that I can't be bothered to see whether, like, the AAT do it, by the way, bless them. They're really good. Sometimes they send things with just one. And like, I look at that subject line and think, do I need to read that? And quite often I do, because when they send one thing, it's usually important. Then they'll send like this whole list of stuff, and I'm like, oh, it just goes in the bin. So I think a lot of people tend to think that you can send too many emails, but I actually think the opposite. I think if you group things together that make it look like you've got lots to tell somebody in one go, people don't have the time to go through that. So for me, I don't know if you agree with me, but I'd rather have an email every single day with one sentence on it that I can see whether it's relevant or not, than to get one thing once a week. Like, so how do you work with, and it's, being a subscriber, subscribe to my newsletter sounds really, it's like, it's really difficult, isn't it, to get people to subscribe nowadays for like, without that lead magnet, because we are trained to not want lots of emails in our inbox.
Definitely. And I think the word newsletter sounds really boring as well, doesn't it? Like,
it does, doesn't it?
Like you say, we've not got time, have we? So I actually did some research with my own email list earlier this year, just to find out what they wanted, because I have tried all different kinds, sending all different things at all different times, at all different frequencies. And I thought, I just need to know what people want. And it was what you said. They just want something simple. They want to know if it's useful. They want it to be useful. You know, they like being nosy, but really they just want something that's going to help them, and they want to be able to read it quickly. So absolutely, just short and sweet is great. However, in saying that, I think it depends on the business and on the person and who the audience is. And so what I do with my clients, which is like the most important thing we do, is every month look at the report. So I use MailerLite for myself and for my clients, and the reporting's really good. And looking at those reports at the end of each month to monitor how your campaigns have performed compared to the previous month will give you an idea of what your subscribers want. You know, if you've decided to send multiple emails throughout the week and all of a sudden your open rates have dropped, have a look at why could that be. I mean, it might not be the frequency, it might be that subject isn't what people want, but exactly. But by monitoring it, you can then tweak it and keep monitoring it, and eventually you will get into a nice steady way of working. That will probably change at some point in the course of your business, but as long as you're constantly monitoring it and keeping track of what's happening and what people are interested in and when they open the emails, that is going to help you going forward. And don't call it a newsletter.
Yeah, no. And don't give too much in one email as well.
Yes.
Like one subject, one email, please.
Yeah. And if you do, the longer the email, you know, the less chance people are going to get to the bottom of it. So whatever you do, don't put your main bit of information or what you want to get across. Get it to the top.
Yeah, put it at the top so people. Well, people do. We don't read unless we're learning something. We scan stuff. Like people are so busy nowadays that our attention span, like if you think about TikTok and stuff like that, our attention span has gone so short because of all the information that gets thrown at us. You know, it needs to be valuable for us to stop and go, oh, actually, you know, like I try to keep my social media posts shorter and shorter because I just feel like there's more chance of people reading them, if I'm totally honest.
Yeah.
But it's like trying to add that value. It's a really hard balance, isn't it? So apparently we have no questions, by the way, because this came onto YouTube, but not onto LinkedIn. So I'm going to put it into LinkedIn as soon as we've finished. I've just got a message off my tech guy saying, "No, you're not on LinkedIn, but we are live still." And I knew there would be something wrong with my first live ever.
We thought we were doing so well, didn't we?
We did. So, but yeah, maybe next time we'll have to do it again sometime.
We will. We'll try again.
Yeah. So, just so that everybody knows, if they want to talk about lead magnets, especially if that's what you're dealing with at the minute, how do people get in contact with you?
So connect with me on LinkedIn, Instagram, at Michelle Farrell OBM for Online Business Manager. You'll find me there, or michellefarrell.co.uk. Everything you need to know is on there. I have just revamped one of my best performing lead magnets, actually. So that's all ready to go. You'll find that on the website. That's all about automating your emails and those nurture sequences, converting those clients and nurturing those relationships.
So everything we've talked about today, that's really
everything.
So if anybody wants to get hold of me, I'm Tracy at Tracy@successbynumbers.co.uk, and the website is timefreedomalchemist.co.uk. Liz has joined us. Hi, Liz. I can see that you've commented.
Hi, Liz.
Yeah, so she must have found us onto YouTube. I will go and share this now in its entirety, just so that people can see it's not polished. It really was live, and
we did our best.
Thank you so much for joining me. Liz says she's going to be reviewing her own emails as well. So I'm in the process of reviewing one of my campaigns to make it that little bit more personal to people who've done the Time Freedom quiz. Because I think that's it as well. Sometimes when you do give somebody your email and then you just get generic bog standard emails that you're kind of like, oh, is this really for me? So I think that's important as well to
definitely.
It's really important by the emails, isn't it? So so thanks again for joining me, and I will speak to you very soon.
Thanks for having me.